What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to show you why you cannot use a 1x rear derailleur with a 2x system. This is obviously a 2x system. You have two chain rings up front, and then in the back we have a 2x rear derailleur. Now you may be wondering, what's the difference between a 2x rear derailleur and a 1x rear derailleur? This is a GX 12-speed mechanical mountain bike designed specifically for a 1x system. Now the difference is basically the pulley. The upper pulley location is what is so important when it comes to proper shifting for your rear cassette. And the difference between a 1x and a 2x system, if you look here on the 1x system, the pivot point is located right here. Okay, now what happens here is as you shift gears, the chain is going to pull this way. You can see how the pulley kind of arcs around this way. Okay, so it actually arcs around. You can see that there. Now on a 2x rear derailleur, the upper pulley is actually located at this pivot point. So as the chain grows or goes smaller, because you're changing the front chain ring, you essentially, what happens here is this will move, but your upper pulley will stay in one location. You can see it right here, the pulley's located here, and then if I shift the front chain ring, you'll notice here that as this moves, you can see here, the upper pulley stays in the same location. All right, so your upper pulley stays in the same location, where if a chain moves here, you can see this lower pulley actually does more of an arcing motion. Let me shift the front and you'll see what I'm talking about. So as you see here, going to the smaller ring, you can see this right here will go further back because the chain is essentially going longer. You see that? But you can see there, that stayed the same location no matter what. And then we go back up to the large chain ring, and then this part will move this way, and that stays in the same location. Now you may be wondering, why are the 1x rear derailleurs have this arcing upper pivot, okay, or the upper pulley? The reason why is because their cassettes are usually huge, okay? So they're trying to basically cover a larger range of gears, as you can see here. When I say range, you're going from 10 tooth all the way up to a 50 tooth. Now it's up to a 52 tooth. And what has to happen is if you use a set location on an upper pivot point up here, like the upper pulley, how the upper pulley stays in one location, as you shift through the gears, what happens is this pulley will ultimately hit like the larger cogs in this location here. Now you can set your B screw. Your B screw is what you can set to pull the pulley down away from the cassette to give it more clearance. The problem if you do that with a rear derailleur like this is when you get to the smaller cogs, or the smaller teeth I should say, the pulley will be further away from the smaller teeth, which basically makes your shifting crap. Okay, so you want this pulley to be at the same location basically all the way through all the gears. Okay, so what happens with a 1x system, as you shift gears, the chain will be pulled down like this, and it allows this upper pulley to essentially lower to clear those massive cogs in the back. Okay, and then as you go to the smaller cogs, it will go this way, and it basically gets closer and closer. Okay, so it keeps the ratio close between all these different teeth here with the wider range. Once again, if you try that with a 2x rear derailleur, what's going to happen is if you set it up to shift good in these huge cogs here, it's going to shift crappy in the smaller cogs. Now, if you try to take a 1x rear derailleur and set it up with a front derailleur, what happens is your chain length is changing. So with a 1x system, the chain length ultimately is what determines kind of your B screw in a way. We do still have a B screw on this, but you really need to make sure your chain length is the proper length. And SRAM and Shimano, they have all a way of actually calculating that whenever you set up your bike. So be sure to follow those directions. So if you try to do it with a 2x system, the problem with that, you're changing your chain length. So you could say, let's say that you're kind of in a gear like this, you shift to a small ring up front, it's going to throw that upper pulley up into your cassette. Okay, so that's the problem there. Now I've seen some people online in some of the messaging groups and everything say, oh well, I was able to put a 1x rear derailleur with a 2x system and got tons of range. The only problem was I couldn't use the lower cogs when I was in the small ring. Once again, the reason why that is if you set this up to clear the big cogs with the little tooth up front, yes, you can get those clearance, but once again, when you start getting closer to the middle teeth, what happens is that upper pulley is going to slam into that cassette. Okay, so yes, you can use a 2x system with a 1x rear derailleur, but you're only going to get use out of like 4 cogs up here. And then you got to remember not to, shift down even further, and then you're going to damage your derailleur there. Let me grab my mountain bike. I'll throw the mountain bike in the stand, and I'll show you kind of how the mountain bike works when it shifts through all its gears. Okay, so here's my mountain bike with obviously a 1x system with a wide range rear cassette. Sorry, it's dirty. I like to ride my bikes, not to clean them. But you can see here the pulley is off center from the pivot point of the cage, as you can see here. Okay, so once again, we're in the largest tooth here. This is a 50 tooth. And as I shift through the gears, you'll notice that this pulley right here will move closer to each cog as we go down. And so once again, since we have just a 1x chainring up here, you don't have to worry about this chain length changing distances if you have another tooth up here. Okay, so that's why the 1x system works with that offset pulley. All right, so we're gonna go through the gears. You can see here, you can see as that upper pulley rotates, it rotates closer to each cog as the cogs get smaller and smaller. All right, and vice versa, when you go the other way, it does the same thing. So now the upper pulley is pulling away from the larger cogs and clearing them. The thing to notice too is with these wide range cassettes, you can see how they ramp up. There's almost like a curve here. Okay, so that's once again why a 2x rear derailleur won't work with that, because the upper pulley is staying in the same location, so it will just slam into these larger cogs here. Or if you do, like I said before, make it clear a larger cog, when you go down to these smaller cogs, the upper pulley is going to be further away, and it's going to suffer, the shifting performance is going to suffer greatly. So, but you can see here, once again, as I shift down, you'll see that this upper pulley will move closer to each cog. All right, then we're in the 10 tooth there, and then we can go all the way up, back up to the 50 tooth there, and once again, it clears each cog with the proper distance. Now, if you do want to go with a really wide range 2x setup, the one main 2x setup I think of is like a GRX. Shimano has some really long cages on their road rear derailleurs and their GRX rear derailleurs to be able to clear larger cassettes. I think they only rate them to clear like a 34 tooth, but I've seen people clear 36 tooth or even larger. So I would lean that way if you do want to go with a huge cassette in the back with a 2x setup. Just if you do look for something like that, just make sure you're finding a rear derailleur with a pivot point right here has the pulley located. So that way, when once again the cage moves, the pivot point right here and the pulley, upper pulley, stays in the same location. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button so other people will see it. Please subscribe to the channel. Also hit that notification bell so that way you know when a new video drops. And thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.